2, 1, 0.
Welcome one and all, it is Monday, it is 7 p.m., which means it's time for Monday Night Nerd. Thank you all for tuning in, L-I-V-E Live, and if you're watching a little bit later, thank you for tuning in anyways. Hello everybody on TikTok, we are live here on YouTube with Monday Night Nerd. We are talking all about WrestleMania 41. WrestleMania 41 was this weekend. It is in the books. It is signed, sealed, and delivered, and we're going to talk match by match and go through all of the festivities over the weekend. I'm a hardcore wrestling fan, and we're going to talk about it because I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys on TikTok have any questions or want to put in your input, hop over to Corp Cosplay on YouTube. That is where I'll be answering any questions or any comments you might have about WrestleMania. Folks, we are on episode 99 of the podcast. 99 episodes. Next week will be episode 100. And if you're new here, it is a very important show next week because this Thursday and this Saturday, I will be going to see Metallica live in Toronto. I bought $5,000 tickets to go see Metallica just by myself, $5,000 for one ticket, but I have the backstage enhanced experience, meet and greets, and all that stuff with the band. So if you are interested to find out what that $5,000 got me, you guys should tune in next week because I'm going to go through the whole thing. I am there Thursday for the first show. I have the artist Squindo, who has done the artwork for Metallica for the past 25 years, will be in town as well. He has a Q&A and showing of his artwork on the Friday. I'll be going to that, and then I will be going on the Saturday as well. I will be in the center snake pit. It is going to be an amazing weekend. I got all the confirmation emails and everything a couple days ago, so I am ready to go. I just got to pack my bag and hit the road on Thursday morning. But before we get there, let's talk about what happened this weekend, WrestleMania, folks. Usually we talk about news and stuff, but you know what? It has been a long weekend. I've been working my tail off here in the house, so I really haven't done a lot besides just watch WrestleMania. So we're going to skip the news today. We're going to jump into the sponsorship, and then we're going to talk about WrestleMania. Folks, first of all, if you're here, I greatly appreciate it. I really do. If you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, even you guys on TikTok, if you can hit that like button, hit that, follow button and all that stuff, that would mean a lot because we're going to do this every single week. Every single week that we are live on YouTube, I'm going to come on here and be live on TikTok as well. It means a lot to me, and as always, for the 99th time, we have a sponsor. As always, it is my amazing, beautiful, loving wife who is far, far away in the world of New Brunswick, enjoying the family out there. She went there for Easter weekend. I was stuck here all alone watching WrestleMania with the animals, but it was a great weekend. I got a lot done. I rearranged our bedroom, I painted 3 walls, I painted a stairwell, I filled holes. I've been frickin' busy. So, I love you, hun. I can't wait for you to come home and see all the amazing work that I've done. And I can't wait for you to come home. Truly, I miss you. Miss you. All right, let's just jump into it. We're 3 minutes in. Usually we're about the 20-30 minute mark. If this is an hour episode, I will be completely shocked. But I did feel like we should come on here and I should have a little bit of a conversation about WrestleMania. So let me give you guys a little backstory before we jump into the match-by-match results so you guys can kind of get my mindset on WrestleMania because WrestleMania is a big thing. If you've never watched WrestleMania and you're not a wrestling fan, I completely understand, but WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of the WWE. This is the 41st time they were live in Las Vegas, Nevada for 2 nights. They've been doing that for the past couple years since the pandemic. We have a Saturday night show and a Sunday night show. Gets more people on the card, more spectacle, more gravitas, and a lot more money for them. That's the big thing. But I have been a fan since 1997. That was when I became a real hardcore fan. I know I'd seen wrestling earlier in the year in 97. I know I went to a live event that was in Hamilton around my birthday. My birthday's in May. I remember going to that with my dad. I believe the main event was Undertaker versus Vader. But the first time I was like, okay, no, I'm a wrestling fan, Shawn Michaels was Triple H was when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley was facing The Undertaker, and this was just before DX started. And I remember watching it and seeing Shawn Michaels run out and save Triple H and crack Taker over the head with a chair. If you're a wrestling fan, you're probably thinking of Monday Night Raw when he does it, and that's when he's all bloodied. It wasn't that. It was like a Saturday Night's Main Event or something. But I clearly remember watching that and going, okay, I got to find out what happens later. And then that just kind of got me into it. And then I saw Stone Cold and Bret Hart and all that, and off to the races. And ever since then, I've been a hardcore wrestling fan. I've been to tons of events. I've got tons of autographs from working conventions. I've got a world title belt upstairs. I'm a wrestling fanatic. I'm totally fine saying that. My fandom has pretty much stayed consistent. It's dropped, obviously, since I've gotten older because responsibilities and stuff, but I'm a fan. However, do understand the ins and outs of the wrestling business. For those who don't know, I have a marketing background, I have a business background, so I understand the business side of it as well as being a hardcore fan. So if you're expecting someone to just be like, this sucks, I'm not that guy. I'm going to explain why I think it sucks, and it probably has a lot to do with the business side of it, not just being a hardcore fan. Noah in chat, good to see you. Brian in chat, will you be meeting any wrestlers at this year's Niagara Falls Comic-Con, since there's a couple of them this year? I will be working Niagara Falls Comic-Con. For the past decade, I have worked every single Niagara Falls Comic-Con. Yes, I will be there this year. I hope to be working with the wrestlers. They usually put me with them. I was really excited to meet Jerry Lawler. However, I noticed on their website, Jerry Lawler unfortunately had to postpone. I've met Kurt Angle before, but I'm excited to meet him again. I think Ted DiBiase is going to be there. They've got a stacked lineup. Booker T would be a nice one. I've never met Booker, so maybe I'll try and mingle my way into working with Booker T. But yeah, I will be at Niagara Falls Comic-Con this year, as always, because it is a lot of fun at that con. And I hope you're there too. Get your tickets, because they're already selling fast, because they've got a huge lineup this year. So I'm a pretty big wrestling fan, and I've seen every WrestleMania since WrestleMania 14 in 1998. So this is now 38 years, I think. 37, something like that. 27, sorry, not 37. 27 years of being a wrestling fan. And I'm not going to say from the beginning what I thought of the overall product, but I will admit this was a pay-per-view and a WrestleMania that I kind of enjoyed the build, but I felt like they had a very strong uphill battle against what they did last year, because I think last year a lot of people, including myself, can agree that last year's build to Cody Rhodes finally getting the Undisputed Championship was almost a 10 out of 10 pay-per-view. Like, that main event was a spectacle to behold. The whole card was pretty much a great card. So they really went into this with a lot to live up to, and I feel that they did their best. But I think a lot of people, especially when we get into talking about the main event, a lot of people were disappointed, because I think based off last year's main event, they expected a lot more, but we'll get more into that in a bit. Let's jump into night one, the Triple H Open. Let's talk. Oh, wait 1 second. Brian is in the chat again. There was more build for the Bench Triple Threat main event than on night two. We'll get into that. We will get into that. That is a very strong point, and yeah, we will talk about that. So let's start things off. Triple H kicked things off in the ring. He has done this for the past couple years, since Triple H has now become the chief content officer of the WWE. If you're not deep in the wrestling world, Vince McMahon is no longer a part of the WWE. Triple H is sort of the head honcho. There's also a man named Nick Khan, who is sort of the CEO, the Vince McMahon portion, but he's not on camera. Triple H is sort of the figurehead, the Dana White, let's say, of the WWE. So he was there, very happy to introduce us to night one opening ceremony, and then we kicked into the video package, hyping night one. And great hype package as always. WWE always knocks it out of the park when it comes to getting people invested. And I think that's something that WWE is very good at, being a very open platform and a very open industry to new fans. And I feel that is something that a lot of even sports teams, they can't I don't know if they could do it, but I feel like if I'm an outsider and I watch for hockey, I'm a Colorado Avalanche fan, and I've been an Avalanche fan since they started, so I understand their rivalry with Detroit, their rivalry with a couple other teams. But it's hard if you're a new fan to understand that rivalry, understand the history behind it. WWE, with their hype packages and their build videos, are very good at bringing in the casual fan and going, okay, this is why this match matters. This is why this event matters. This is why all of this is important. And the opening video, as always, brings everything together. This is all the things you're going to see on night one. These are all the things that people are fighting for. Let's kick it off. And they did a great one, as always. We start things off with Jey Uso versus Gunther. Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, putting his title on the line after Jey Uso won the 30-man Royal Rumble earlier this year. This is what I figured would open the show, simply because we knew what the main event was going to be based off everything that's going on. It was a little interesting having the Royal Rumble winner start the show. I will admit that. I think that's one of, if not the first time that's happened for the male side, at least. I know it's happened with the females, but I felt it was a perfect place for them. Jay's intro with the yeeting and all that was honestly one of the best ways to open the show. He is over as a babyface. He is doing such a great job. However, in this match, I do feel like it was really hard to take him as a serious competitor to Gunther. Gunther has been on such a run lately as being just a wrestler's wrestler. He is bare bones, no gimmicks, no nothing, just beating the daylights out of everybody. And I felt like when Jay won, there was a big confused sigh from the crowd, and I don't feel like the way that they've built it over the past few weeks, and they've had a lot of time to build it because of how big of a stretch there was from the Rumble through Elimination Chamber into the WrestleMania. I don't know if they did enough to build Jay as a good competitor. Having him be beat up, having Jimmy be beat up by Gunther week after week after week, just, it didn't really do anything for me. However, because Jay has been so over, I feel like he still did a good job getting the crowd invested, getting people into the match, wanting to see him win. The match overall was pretty solid. There was a lot of the match that I thought was going to happen, which was Jay jumping around, trying to get the advantage over Gunther, trying to do almost a bob and weave, try and hit, get out, a lot of high-flying frog splashes and trying to get Gunther down, keeping him down, because he knew if he tried to go toe-to-toe with Gunther, it wouldn't be good. The ending kind of disappointed me, and the ending to the match was Gunther getting tapped out by Jay, and I don't feel like that was the proper way to end that match. Gunther, like I said, has been on a roll since pretty much he became world champion, and if not before then when he was the Intercontinental Champion. Having him tap to Jay, I don't know if that was the best way to do it. If Jay was able to be a smaller wrestler, being able to do a quick schoolboy or a quick cover and get a quick 3 count on him, I felt like that would have been a better way to make people believe that Jay won. Having Gunther face all these other competitors and kind of decimate them to a point, and then have him tap out to a choke by Jay, just that didn't really do it for me. When he fell backwards in the choke and held him, I thought, okay, Gunther's gonna, kind of weasel his way out of it. And just seeing him tap just kind of took the air out of the building, in my opinion. To me, it took the air out of me. I know everyone's excited that he won and everyone was yeeting all over the place, but to me, it just it didn't do it for me. So Jey Uso is now the World Heavyweight Champion. Good for Jey. I know he was really excited. When Jimmy came in after the match and started hugging him, I'm like, here's the chance. This is where Jimmy should knock Jey out and be like, I should be here. I should have done this. But no, they did the hug and they went up through the crowd. So good ending for Jey. I did not see the post conference after the pay-per-view, but I heard he was a little inebriated, so I'll have to check that out after. But yeah, it was kind of an odd choice for me, but good for Jey. Andre in chat says, yeah, the ending kind of came out of nowhere. He tapped out quick too. Yeah, it wasn't, he didn't hold on it too long. It was only about 5-10 seconds, and then he was tapping. So, and Gunther's been in some submissions before, so I don't know. Not the ending I would have picked, but good for Jey. I think Gunther now has some things he can do and move forward, maybe go for the WWE Championship at some point after everything is done with this. Then we jump into the first tag match of the weekend. It is the New Day versus the War Raiders for the World Tag Team titles. The War Raiders are the champions going up against New Day, who will, if they win, will become a 12-time tag team champions, I believe. The New Day is Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They're no longer jumping around, unicorns, cereal, and all that stuff. They are now a little more serious. They've kicked Big E out now that Big E is officially gone, officially just a commentator. The War Raiders have had a bunch of different gimmicks, but I've always been a fan of theirs. I think they've got a great smack mouth style gimmick. They're big, they're athletic. This was a good match. This is where the sponsorship, I felt like, became a bit of an issue. If you haven't watched wrestling in a while, since the TKO Corporation has purchased WWE and UFC, WWE is now heavily sponsored. Like, the mat, I think, was covered in like 8 sponsors. The turnbuckles are covered. Every match has a sponsor. And this match was sponsored by Clash of Clans, which I believe today or tomorrow there is a WWE edition added to the game. And the War Raiders came out in costumes, cosplay of characters from the Clash of Clans game. And I kind of went, they look like crap. They look goofy. I'm not a fan. So right off the bat, I was like, okay, I'm not taking the War Raiders seriously. And it's funny because the New Day over their history has had many cosplay-centered costumes. They've done Dragon Ball Z. They've done Power Rangers. They've done pretty much any nerd thing you can think of. But having the War Raiders come out with a Clash of Clans thing, it didn't really do it for me. There's a better one later that I think fits a little better. But overall, the match was good. New Day are solid as a tag team. War Raiders are very good when it comes to the Smash Mouth style. One of the War Raiders has had neck surgery recently, a legit neck surgery. So that was kind of the focus of the match, of New Day kind of beating the War Raiders down and focusing on the neck, which was, if you're a Bret Hart fan, that's Bret Hart picking a spot, picking a point on a body part, and just working on it. So I wasn't too upset about that. In the end, the War Raiders did lose their tag titles, and the New Day are now a 12-time tag team champion. I thought this was fine, but this was also kind of a bathroom match to me. I didn't really, I love the New Day. They're great. I like the War Raiders, but just wasn't anything that was jumping out at me. I think there was a tag match on SmackDown, which was pretty good too, and I know people were wondering why this one made it, but the other one didn't make it on WrestleMania. I don't know, but overall, it was a solid match, but just nothing to write home about. Brian in chat, I was hoping that we'd have done the SmackDown match. Yes, exactly, instead of the World Tag Team title match. Agreed, and that's I've heard a lot of people argue that, and I don't know why one was chosen over the other. Maybe because of the Clash of Clans sponsorship. I don't know. Third match of the night for night one, Jade Cargill coming back and facing Naomi. They have a history. If you watch the Elimination Chamber, if you watch before that, you know Jade Cargill was attacked many moons ago, and there was an unknown assailant. We found out it was Naomi, who was in with Bianca Belair, who used to be tag team partners with Jade Cargill. This is where all that storyline and stuff happens. This is the part of wrestling where when I was younger, I would explain this to people and kind of give them that like, well, duh, that's how it works. But even now at 36, I'm kind of reading it going, oh, I understand why people find this goofy and are like, really, this is what you care about? I get it now. Jade Cargill coming from AEW, the rival to WWE, I guess you'd call it. We're not going to get into an AEW versus WWE argument. Coming in after pretty much just being at AEW, I don't think she's had a lot of training and a lot of work outside of AEW. Beast of a specimen. Like, she's incredible, athletic. Naomi, former women's champion, great in ring. I like the new gimmick. If you've ever seen Naomi before, she had a very neon glow style. Now her gimmick is proceed with caution, and she's a heel, so she's all covered in caution tape. I actually like that look a little better. I think it's a little less goofy. Solid match, but I also knew that this wasn't going to be a long athletic match because of the rivalry and the way that Jade wrestles. Jade is a very smash mouth style wrestler. I knew it was just pretty much going to be a revenge match, so it wasn't going to be, a big technical masterpiece, and that's what it was, and I'm glad they booked it that way. Jade won, Naomi's defeated. Naomi, I don't know if she's going to go fight Bianca now, if she's going to go off and do another thing. Overall, Jade's a great wrestler, Naomi's a great wrestler. Wasn't something anyone, I think, was really expecting a lot from. I think they just wanted to see an end to this whole storyline with the three of them, and they got it. So far, not a bad pay-per-view. I think, you know what, now that I think about it, you probably could do a little bit more with Jade if they wanted to include Bianca in the storyline somehow, but if they end it now, I'm okay with it. Next match was one I think a lot of people were excited for, including myself. LA Knight, was defending his United States Championship against Jacob Fatu, the Werewolf. Now, the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu, is a member, I guess you'd call him a member of the Bloodline. I don't know if the Bloodline's still a thing anymore because of everything that's been happening. Jacob is an incredible wrestler. He has come into WWE with a whole lot of pressure, and that is something over the years of being a wrestling fan I've seen so many people struggle with. So many people have come in with an indie mindset, not an indie mindset, but just the hype of the indies. Like, this guy was incredible in Lucha Underground. This guy was incredible in, AAA. He was incredible in this. And coming into WWE and just maybe not tripping over themselves, but having struggles trying to get their footing and get that momentum in the WWE. Jacob has done everything perfect. He has been such a good wrestler to the point that he's supposed to be a villain, but the whole bloody crowd was excited for him to be there and was hoping he'd beat LA Knight, even though everyone loves LA Knight. Yeah. So going into this match, I knew it was going to be great, and they did such a good job. I was so happy to see how well Jacob Fatu did in his WrestleMania debut. He knocked it out of the park. LA Knight again knocked it out of the park. Another match that was very much a Bret Hart kind of style match of we knew LA Knight had hurt his ribs. I think it was a couple weeks ago. And a lot of Jacob Fatu's strategy was beating down the ribs, throwing him onto the top rope and, dropping him on that top turnbuckle on ribs first. Great selling by LA Knight, throwing the elbow, hurting his ribs on it. Overall, a great match by Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu ends up winning his first singles title. Actually, I think his first title overall, the United States title at his first WrestleMania. And yes, I was just about to say, as Brian says in chat, and great to see his father Haku, former WWE superstar, jump the barricade and run up and give him a pat on the back, because Jacob just killed it. He did such a good job. It was really fun seeing him walk down the aisle and just hearing that crowd go nuts. And I'm like, man, you guys got such a baby face on your hands. He did incredible. LA Knight did incredible too. I think LA Knight is one of those wrestlers that they talk about back in the day, and they kind of do, not as much in the modern era, but those wrestlers that didn't need the title. The Ted DiBiase's, the Razor Ramones, the Owen Harts. Would it be great if they did have the title? 100%, but they don't need it. And I think LA Knight is very similar to that, where he is over on his own. He doesn't need a belt to keep him on the map. He is good enough that he doesn't need it. So great match between those two. We're now on to a match that I had a lot of fun with. I laughed pretty hard with this. Rey Fenix. Well, let's start off the backstory. This was originally supposed to be El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. It was going to be a lucha versus a lucha match, and unfortunately, the night before WrestleMania, Rey Mysterio was in a tag match on SmackDown and unfortunately hurt his ankle, so he had to be pulled from the show. So in his replacement is the newcomer to the WWE, Rey Fenix. Rey Fenix has had a great career in Lucha Underground and AEW with his brother Penta, who we'll see later on tomorrow's show. Coming in as a last-minute replacement, I gotta admit, I've seen Rey in the past. I've seen Penta in the past. I am not a big Lucha Libre fan. I will be completely honest. I appreciate it. If you love it, enjoy it. I've never really been a big Lucha fan. I'm not a Rey fan. There are very few Luchas that I've seen that I've been like, that's the ones that I love. I love Eddie. I love the Guerreros, but when it comes to La Parka, Psychosis, all of them, it's not my style. It's not for me. So going into this, I knew the comedy side of El Grande Americano was going to be the thing that made me want to watch this match. And it did. The hype package behind El Grande Americano was hilarious. For those who obviously aren't watching and don't know who this is, people say El Grande Americano is Chad Gable. I'm here to tell you it's obviously not. And the way it's not is because El Grande Americano wears a mask and Chad doesn't. Duh, that's the obvious. So El Grande Americano getting the hype package where everything is sepia and his entrance is all like sepia filtered and having the old Mexican video style was hilarious. I absolutely loved that. I think it made it just so much better than him just coming out to a normal entrance. Rey Fenix came out, did a great job. Was really impressed by him. Like I said, I'm not a big Lucha fan, but I gotta admit, when you're coming in after only a week of being on the main roster in WWE, hell, being in WWE in general, coming out as a WrestleMania and having a one-on-one match, that's pretty bold and that takes a lot of guts to do it. And he did a good job. I can't slam him for his performance. Overall, Rey Fenix unfortunately did not win his debut. El Grande Americano was the winner. I kind of expected it. I mean, especially with the last-minute replacement of Rey. I did not see them suddenly going, okay, the replacement of Rey Mysterio is going to beat him. Like, that didn't make sense if he did. So I expected him to win. And to be completely honest, this was the bathroom break match for me. I watched El Grande's entrance. I watched Rey's entrance. And then I kind of went and did some stuff. I didn't end up watching that match until about 30 minutes before I started this show because I didn't want to come in and be like, I didn't watch it. I liked it for what it was, but again, it's not my style. It's not something I really went out and enjoyed to the fullest, but good for them. I think they did a good job. I think El Grande Americano's got such a future. I think he's going to be a world champion at some point, and I can't wait to see it. Andre in chat, it's not my favorite style, but yeah, Eddie was a guy who I adored 100%. Like, you can't say anything bad about Eddie. He was incredible. Even Chavo is such a good wrestler, and another Guerrero, sort of, if you know your WWE history, has a great match tomorrow, which we'll talk about. The women's title match. Here we go. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. The hype for this has been big. Since their promo on SmackDown a couple weeks ago where things got personal, I think a lot of people expected this to knock it out of the park. What happened last week, for those who didn't see SmackDown, Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair were in a promo in the middle of the ring, and things kind of went off course. And I don't mean off course as that's what it's written. I mean, off course, like, things just kind of went personal, and you could tell there was a little bit of heat, a little bit of animosity. Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton making fun of Charlotte being now 4 times divorced, and Charlotte accusing Tiffany Stratton's husband of being in her DMs. Everyone laughed at that because if you've seen Tiffany, you're like, he wouldn't cheat on you for her. There are a few wrestlers that as soon as I see them for the first time, I'm not a fan. No matter who books them, no matter what they do, I'm not a fan of theirs. Lesnar is one of them. I've never been a Brock fan. Since I first saw him, I'm like, nope, can't stand him, don't want to be, never going to be a fan of him, and I never have. Charlotte's another one. Charlotte Flair is one that I just never liked. I've never liked Charlotte. I've thought she's been pushed too hard, too fast, and she's not good enough to be pushed that hard. I do feel like her last name, being the daughter of Ric Flair, plays a big, big factor. This match, I felt like, really exposed Charlotte for her sloppiness. I saw so many instances where Charlotte was mistiming things, miscommunicating things with Tiffany and the ref. Different times where you could just tell they're kind of going like, what do we do next? Tiffany just showed how good of a champion she is after only a few months or a few years of being in the business and only a few months as champion. Tiffany stood out incredible. Her entrance was great. If you didn't see it, Tiffany Stratton is kind of what she calls the buff Barbie, and she came out in a Barbie box, which looked really cool, and had ones next to her that had video screens in them of different versions of her, and I thought that was a really cool look. I was really disappointed in this match. I thought there was so much hype around this, and I just felt like Charlotte dropped the ball. And Andre said, do you think Charlotte was messing up on purpose? No, No, I don't think she was messing up on purpose. No, because so this would be a good comparison. This is a very good comparison to my world of cosplay. So when I did the masquerade at Fan Expo 2019, and the way they did the masquerade in 2019 was they said, you're going to go up on stage and you're not going to perform. The host is going to ask you a question. And we're not going to tell you the question. We're just going to tell you when you get up there. So you kind of have to improv it. And I remember everybody panicking in the back and saying, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I actually physically had to sit with a couple of them and say, like, look, A, I'm good with improv, so I can tell you right now it's nothing to really worry about. B, if they ask you a question that you stumble on, the audience is going to realize that it's not you, it's the host. They won't look at you and be like, how does she not know the answer to that? They will look at the host and be like, why did you not prepare this contestant? The same thing is with this. If Charlotte is messing up on purpose, you're going to notice it with Charlotte. You're not going to notice it with Tiffany. And I just think it was ring rust. I think it was, I don't know if her mind just wasn't in it or what, because ever since Charlotte has started to get booed, I can tell she's a little off. And again, I don't know if that's her just not knowing how to deal with that, even though she's been a heel before, but I could just tell something was off, and she was just sloppy. Andre says in chat also, WTF, were they wearing the same colors? That was annoying. It was the same with a couple matches, or the match before this. El Grande Americano and Rey Fenix were both in red and yellow. And I'm like, guys, pick a different color. Charlotte, you've had every color under the sun. Why are you both wearing pink and white? Like, yeah, that was something I saw a lot of people laughing at. But Tiffany won, and that was great. Tiffany won, and she's still the women's champion. I was happy with that. I'm glad she did. I think if Charlotte won and became a 13-time champion after only so many years, I think the place would have started throwing garbage in the ring at that point. But yeah, Tiffany won, and she's got a bruise on her head and showed that she put up with a whole bunch of, punches and shots that she shouldn't have had to. So good for Tiffany. I think she looked a lot stronger in the end. Next, before we go into the main event of night one, we had the Hall of Fame class. Hall of Fame this year was Bret Hart being inducted for the third time, first as a solo, second with the Hart Foundation, and third in the new segment of the Hall of Fame, the iconic moments, going in with Stone Cold Steve Austin in their WrestleMania 13 main event. An incredible match, and one of the best matches ever done. Glad they went in for that. Michelle McCool went in as the female of the year. They always pick one, and whatever. She's Undertaker's wife. I'm sorry. Like, there's no way she has had a career that was Hall of Fame worthy. I'm sorry. Like, I can't. I'm a hardcore wrestling fan. I can't tell you a Michelle McCool match. Like, I'm sorry. It was an era that no one remembers that well, and she just did not stand out, but whatever. Lex Luger, so happy to see Lex get in there. He has deserved it for so many years. Having DDP induct him was really cool to see. Typhoon and Earthquake, the Natural Disasters, going in as a tag team. Earthquake, unfortunately, posthumously going in. Typhoon going in, well deserving. And lastly, but not least, obviously, Triple H going in as a solo artist for the first time. Last time, he's now a two-time entrant. The first time is as a member of DX. Now we get into the main event, the match that everyone was looking forward to. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. No titles on the line. This was all about storyline, and by gum, this was a great match. This was so good, and not just from the technical side. This was storyline driven to a T. And you know what? I can't even say it's just three people involved in this. Paul Heyman on the outside was a beautiful fourth member. Each one of them, including Paul, had easily understandable storyline. Punk finally getting the main event shot, having the hype package of him, having the kill switch song, like just, and how could I not forget having Living Color do his entrance theme was just beautiful to see. You knew you were behind Punk and all of his emotion going into that main event for the first time. Roman Reigns coming back, not being able to have his wise man, Paul Heyman, in his corner. Now in the corner of CM Punk. Was Roman still the unbridled head of the table like he was for so many years? Or has he lost a step now that he doesn't have his wise man? Seth Rollins coming in with the hatred of CM Punk and having been the destructor of the Shield back in the day. Storyline central in this match, and it was an excellent match. If this wasn't a 5 out of 5 on everybody's list, I don't know what wrestling fan you are. And as Andre says in chat, triple threat matches are usually hard to pull off. They made it work. They sure did. They killed it. This was like every moment, and it wasn't the one thing that I have to say is that there's a lot of times where big matches like this, and we'll see it a little bit later, they just do finisher after finisher. As if you're a wrestling fan and you're a video game fan, it's L1, 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 because when you're playing on 2K25, that's your finisher button, and usually that's the way it is. But this one, there was a bit of it, but not a lot. Having Paul Heyman be on the outside and wondering, like, is he going to stick with Punk? Is he going to go to Roman again? Coming in with the chair at the end. Oh, actually, you know what? Let's talk about the Shield bomb. Like, that Shield bomb of Roman going to possibly with Seth again to reform the Shield temporarily, but no, turns on Seth, puts him through a table, puts Punk through a table. Like, such a cool look. And then, Paul Heyman throws that chair in, goes to give Punk the chair, low blows Punk. He's going back with Roman Reigns, and then low blow to Roman Reigns. We've got Paul Heyman going with Seth Rollins, something we never thought we would see coming. Maybe some of us did. A great match. All three of them deserve everything that they got in this match. And then there was video shot after of there was a moment where I think Seth is walking up the aisle and the camera keeps kind of cutting back to the ring and seeing Punk laying on his back and the ref's talking to him. And you just see the smile on his face. And I know there is probably some wrestling fans who are like, it's breaking the moment. Dude, that guy is so bloody happy. And yes, I am a CM Punk mark. I've been a hardcore CM Punk fan for years. I've loved him since the first time I ever laid eyes on him. He's an incredible wrestler. And the fact that he finally got that moment, bra frickin' vote to him. He deserves it 100%. And that's the end of night one. Night one, not the greatest part, but I'm trying to hit these 2 nights and getting 2 giant things out of it was just, it's hard to do. They've never been able to, I don't think they've ever done 2 solid nights. Even last year, everyone was more excited for night 2 than they were for night 1. So it was solid. I've watched worse. I've definitely watched worse WrestleManias, but so far, not a bad night 1. Let's jump into night 2. We've got a similar open, but a little different. We've got Stephanie McMahon in the ring opening night 2, which, again, she did last year. But it kind of caught me off guard how many times she mentioned the word family, which, based off how much WWE is trying to get away from Vince, was surprised that word was used as much as it was. It was great to see her. I think she does fine for these little hype packages and openings, but yeah, I think she says the word family about 4 times. There was a point where I thought Vin Diesel was going to jump in the ring. It was a little much for me, especially with, again, how the world is with Vince right now. So, but good for her. Glad she's there. when we talk about the last triple threat, this was another triple threat that, again, hard to pull off, but holy crap. Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title. This was something I think the entire wrestling world was excited about and thought it could be match of the night, and it was pretty damn close to being match of the night. Rhea and Bianca going back and forth over the past couple weeks. Originally it was supposed to be Bianca versus Io Sky, who's the champion, but Rhea Ripley has forced herself into the main event, well, the title match, as it made it a triple threat, and they kind of pushed Io Sky off to the side. I think that was perfectly planned because it really gave Io Sky a chance to showcase her ability and show that she is a very capable underdog, especially against two warriors of Bianca and Rhea. Andre in chat says, on that note, the Vince name got dropped more than a couple times at the Hall of Fame. Yeah, well, he's not there. That's why they can do it now. They can say the name Vince and he can't say anything about it. There was a protocol of not mentioning his name. And, you know, you know what? I'll do a detour here. I know, I think it was Cena did an interview and someone asked him what his thoughts on Vince were. And he said, you know, I love him. And I get it. Like, I think Sean took a lot of flack for that, of saying, like, how can you love someone for doing that? And it's like, when someone changes your life that much, like, John and 99% of the people in that company would not be where they are without him. So is he a horrible person for what happened? 100%. 100%. But you cannot deny all of the lives he's impacted. Positively, mostly, and some negatively. Not going to say he's perfect, but I get it. I get why some people look at him still in that light. So I can't shame him for that. Going back to the match. So Io Sky coming in as the giant underdog, but man, she just killed it. Like, high-flying moves left, right, and center. Bianca and Ripley beating the daylights out of each other. You could just tell some of those punches were landing. Rhea killing it. Amazing entrance, by the way. If you haven't seen photos of it, a very similar look to the Batman, the Batman Who Laughs look, which, if you're a comic fan, looks so cool. Bianca getting booed, which was interesting to see, especially because she's kind of innocent in the whole Naomi and Jade Cargill storyline, but interesting to see her getting booed by the Vegas crowd. Again, like, I could go blow for blow by this match. This was one of the few matches that I was sitting there on the edge of my seat going, like, I really don't know who's going to win this, and all of them deserve it. But in the end, Bianca Belair with the roll-up on Rhea. Io Sky out of nowhere hits Rhea, covers her, retains her Women's World title. A beautiful match. I think they all deserved a standing ovation for opening night 2 with a hell of a starter. Then we jump into one that I've seen a lot of people have a very different reaction than I did. Drew McIntyre defeats Damian Priest in a Sin City street fight. I considered this a bathroom match, but I saw a lot of people love this match. I saw so many people being like, this was incredible. And I'm like, really? Was it? Because I didn't see it. I thought it was fine. Like, I thought Drew and Damian did good, but I would say this was a barn burner of a match. Drew and Damian brought out the hardware. There was table spots. There was chair shots. There was it was a street fight. But I don't know. I think because I also grew up in the Attitude Era where a street fight, there was a chance you guys could go backstage, or in some cases in the Attitude Era, you'd literally go to a street and fight. So I don't know if I was just expecting more, but it was fine. But I just didn't see. I saw Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber as a way better match than this, but maybe that's just me. Overall, I thought it was a fine match. Drew McIntyre won. He had a similar style entrance as the War Raiders. The War Raiders came out with the Clash of Clans cosplay. Drew came out with friggin' Doom Guy looking cosplay, and a big thing with the Doom Guy head because the new Doom game was the sponsor of the match, which looked dope on him. Dave Thorne messaged me and was just like, wow, nice cosplay. I'm like, yeah, it kind of fits him perfect. So yeah, it was a fine match, but nothing that I was jumping for joy over. I'm glad people enjoyed it. The next one was another barn burner that I was really excited about because I am a big fan of the Intercontinental Champion, and that was Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dirty Dom Mysterio. So if you don't know who Braun Breaker is the son of Rick Steiner, who is the brother of Scott Steiner, the Steiner brothers. I'm not a big Steiner fan. I appreciate them. I've watched their matches. I watched their singles careers. They're great. I am not a Go Steiner Go fan. Braun Breaker, though, holy crap, am I a fan of his. He is great. And I was so happy to see him in this match because I knew he'd have a whole bunch of people to bounce off of. Penta coming in, being only a couple months into the WWE, coming from AEW, did a great job in this match. I knew he was kind of the black sheep of the match, though. I knew that the Braun being the brick wall, basically, and Finn and Dom's battle with each other because they're both in the Judgment Day, I knew that was going to be the spotlight. Penta was just there as sort of eye candy in this match. Did great at his job. Not slamming him for it, but I just knew there was more important things going on. And it was great. Braun just throwing people around, Finn being a solid worker, and Dom being the chicken shit heel that he is. And I think the problem is similar to what his Uncle Eddie, because the old storyline, don't worry. Similar to Eddie, similar to that whole style of almost a Kurt Angle, the chicken shit heel. It almost becomes fun. Like, it's not a bad thing now. And now Dom's becoming a face, which I like. I understand why. I wish he could stay heel, but he's too good. And I think that's where people are starting to go. Like, when he first started, everyone's like, he's Ray's son, he sucks. But now they're like, no, he's actually really freaking good at his job. So we kind of like him. And I've realized, I noticed that last night with Vegas, is that there was a lot of storylines that kind of had to get blurred a bit because the crowd was just so into the person who they shouldn't have been. Dom pulls the freaking upset of the century and wins the Intercontinental Championship. Like, just such a good match. Very good. Similar to LA Knight, Braun does not need the belt. He's an incredible star. I'm glad he had it. I think he'll get it again. I don't know if you're going to push him straight to the world title picture. However, seeing him against Gunther would be a dope match. But I think they're going to keep him at this level just for a little bit longer. And maybe by next WrestleMania, I think the Rumble, they'll be starting to rumble, pun intended, about where he fits into the world title picture. Next we had Randy Orton's open challenge. So we had Randy Orton originally supposed to be facing Kevin Owens. However, Kevin Owens legitimately has to go get neck surgery, which sucks because I love Kevin. But Randy didn't have an opponent, so we had to bring someone in. He opened the challenge to anyone in the locker room, and TNA World Heavyweight Champion Joe Hendry, I said his name, he didn't appear, jumped in and claimed that spot. And this was just a fun little match. Like, this was not supposed to be, again, a technical masterpiece. This was just for fun. Joe Hendry is a great wrestler. Not slamming him, not saying he's just a gimmick, but he's got a hell of a gimmick. So it was great to see him. It was great to see Randy be funny and play off of that gimmick. It was a short 30-second bathroom match. Like, it wasn't a big deal. It was just a little bit of levity. And I think they did a great job at it. Joe Hendry obviously didn't win. Randy Orton, out of nowhere, gets RKO'd, and Randy wins in his 20th WrestleMania. I cannot believe he's been there 20 years. But yeah, he's been there that freaking long. So good to see Randy Orton. And I don't think he's slowing down anytime soon. I think he's probably got another 5 years left in him. Next is a fun match, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people, including the sponsor of this show, my wife, has a very strong opinion about one member of this match. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I will completely admit, I love Logan Paul because of a very similar reason to Dominic Mysterio. He is a freaking bona fide heel and does such a good job at it. I know people hate him, and I completely understand why people do, including my wife, which anytime he comes on TV, she can't stand him and tells me to turn it off. I love him as a heel, and he's also so good. And yes, again, I totally understand, as Crystal says in chat, yikes. I know everyone hates him. I know people don't like him. He's great at this, though, and he is such a good heel. He is the heel that Logan Paul is the wrestling heel. He's the wrestling heel for the fact that people don't like him to the point that people will pay money to watch him get his head kicked in. That's a wrestling heel. Like all these Austins and all that stuff of like he's a babyface heel. No, Logan's a heel to the point that people will pay money to see him get kicked in the head. That's a freaking heel. That's wrestling. So I love Logan for that, and I'm glad he gets his head kicked in every once in a while. Logan is undefeated. Spoilers, Logan Paul beats AJ Styles. Andre says, I hate Logan as a person, but love him as a wrestling heel. Exactly. Like, I don't follow enough of the social media stuff, even though I social media like crazy. I don't follow enough of it, so I don't know all the ins and outs. I've heard everybody's opinions and all that, but I've never done my own research in it because I just don't care. But as a heel, he is so freaking good. Walking up to the weird stage this year, by the way, we should have talked at the beginning. They had fans on the stage, which was kind of weird. Having them standing there and Logan walking up and shit talking them was a beautiful sight to see. Carrying the drone around and then the drone taking off, and while Logan walks out and stands on the corner, it lands back in his hand. Like, such a cool look. AJ, back after an injury, came in and lost, unfortunately, due to the punch to the face. I'm okay with this. And there's a reason, because I watched an interview with AJ and I completely think this is the way they're going to go. Now that WWE has a partnership with TNA, I would not be surprised if AJ Styles goes back and does one last run with TNA. I think that's where they're headed with this. He just came back, and his whole thing was, I want to beat Logan because Logan shouldn't be here. He lost. Now he's defeated. Now he can go back to Impact and have one last run with, hey, Joe Hendry possibly. So I'm perfectly fine with AJ losing. In fact, I think if AJ won, I would have been more upset because it would not give AJ that opportunity to go back down to TNA. So I'm perfectly fine with Logan winning. I love that. They did a behind the scenes or something about talking about the Hall of Fame, and he's like, I'm so glad to be inducted to the Hall of Fame. And he's like, dude, you've only been here like 3 years, like you're not in the Hall of Fame yet. He's such a good heel. I know people hate him, but he's so good at his job, so I can't say anything. Also, I totally forgot about this, by the way. We're gonna backtrack. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Drew McIntyre coming out with the Doom attire. Damian Priest coming out with Kerry King from Slayer playing his song was dog shit. I'm sorry. I don't know if it was a WWE audio issue or if it was just not his regular rig. But man, Kerry sounded terrible on the pay-per-view. I felt so bad for him. I was like, is my stereo off? But yeah, Kerry King did it was just a bad look. And I don't think anybody has ever sounded that bad on a pay-per-view, especially a WrestleMania. So I don't know, again, technical issues or what, but yeah, bad intro. So we've gone through most of the pay-per-view. We got one more big match and then a couple little things, and then the main event. We have got, hang on one second, let me just triple check something here. Perfect. All right. Laya Valkyria versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Liv Morgan and Raquel are the tag champions. Lyra was supposed to face them with Bayley in her corner. However, Bayley was attacked, which sucks. Plain and simple. Like, I'm sorry. I am so sorry, and I'm Canadian, so I'll say it 100 times. I'm sorry. Bayley deserved to be on WrestleMania. I know there was a big story about maybe, this, that, and the other thing. I'm sorry. Bayley shouldn't have been pulled. She should have been on this card. And I know why she got pulled, because I knew exactly who was going to be the mystery tag partner. And that was Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch comes back after being retired by Liv Morgan. And they won the tag belts. I really didn't watch this match. This is the one match of the night that I just didn't care about because I knew exactly what was going to happen. And from what everyone has told me, I didn't miss much. I knew that they were going to win. I knew they were going to give Liv and Raquel a break. And yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think they should have won. I think it should have stayed with Liv and Raquel. They were great as tag champs. But yeah, Becky and Lyra are now world. Big whoop. I'm sorry. It's just not. I didn't do anything for me at all. I think it was probably the worst match of the night, if not the whole weekend. That's just my opinion. Next, we had probably the most fun part. Stone Cold Steve Austin makes an appearance. And Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out on his ATV. Now, if you've not seen the behind-the-scenes footage, and I mean behind-the-scenes footage, the person in the crowd who shot this, the stage this year had the stage, and they had the ramp walked through, but they also had these side ramps, which for different people's entrances, LA Knights, Charlotte Flair's, a vehicle came up, parked, they got out, Stone Cold comes out on his ATV. There is a video out there of someone in the crowd next to the stage. If you realize Stone Cold's music's playing for a very long time and he isn't on the ramp, that's because he missed the side ramp. He missed it completely. He came around the corner and he had to go up, but he missed it and went straight and went into the side of the ramp going down. So he had to back the ATV up and then go up that way. That's why it took so long. And then, after he does his second loop, He misses the turn around the ring, slams into the barricade, and an audience member who was at the barricade fell over and fell back. And I knew there was going to be a problem at that moment because I saw the look on her face, and she was not happy. And you could tell she was not happy because after Austin does his thing in the ring, Nick Khan, who is, again, as we said earlier, the CEO of WWE, was out there having a conversation with her and probably talking to her going, what merchandise do we need to get you to not sue us for this? Because, and to be fair, like, she fell back. It wasn't like Steve hit her with the ATV. He hit the barricade and the barricade pushed a little bit. No one else fell. She just looked like she fell back in her seat. The thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, and I saw a lot of people in the comments of the videos saying, Stone Cold can hit me with an ATV. I'd be fine with it. You have to remember that the people that are in the front row of these pay-per-views, especially at WrestleMania, are not hardcore fans. Most fans of wrestling can't afford $10,000 tickets, but also those are usually people who are sponsors, executives, friends and family of the wrestlers and all that. So this was not just a hardcore Austin fan who got hit. This was someone who was probably in a position of maybe not authority, but like maybe a wife of somebody who was a sponsor or something like that. So that's why it was a little bigger than just like, something happened to a fan and they just be like, give me a couple t-shirts. That was amazing. I was on pay-per-view. No, this was a little bigger than something like that. But Austin comes out. He announces the attendance. It was like 124,000, 26,000 for 2 days. Again, they're going to keep saying that's the biggest gate that they've ever done. I want to remind everybody that if they ever announce this is the biggest gate that WWE's ever done for a pay-per-view, that just means the tickets and everything cost more than they've ever been. It has nothing to do with how many people are in attendance. Like, that's why they say that now because it seems bigger, but when you look at the logistics of it, it's just everything's more expensive. That's all it is. So don't take those numbers into, oh my God. And by the way, there are videos of people posting of like, this place is all tarped off. It's not a sellout. It is a sellout. If it's a sellout of available tickets that were purchased. They were all purchased. Were there people sitting in those seats? Possibly not. And anything that's taped off because of cameras and stuff, that's just the arena. Like, that's just the way it is. Those seats wouldn't have been available, so they don't count. That's the way you put those attendance numbers together. But yeah, Austin came out, did that. I would love to find out what that individual got. I bet it's a lot of stuff because I would drop a Christmas list worth of merchandise and stuff that I would want. Be like, you see every belt at that superstore? I want one of each, and I want one of each signed by whoever's belt that is. Please. Now we're on to the main event, folks. We ended the night with an interesting main event, to say the least. We had John Cena going for his 17th, the record of world titles, 17th world championship, against defending champion Cody Rhodes, who has had the belt since last year's WrestleMania. This was an interesting main event. This was very interesting. John's entrance I thought was perfect. John's entrance of no video, no lights, just the music, black shirt, black entrance, black, white letters, John Cena, that's it. Perfect. Because as he's said many times since his heel turn at Elimination Chamber, he wants to take wrestling away. That's his goal. The fans have not appreciated it, so he's going to take it away. The best way to do that is to just literally start taking things away. It was perfect. Cody came out with the big whoa entrance as always. I don't know if it was just Vegas or if it was kind of all over the place in all of the world, But man, that crowd loved Cena and hated Cody. They hated Cody. And I don't know if it's just because, again, John being John and everyone just knowing how big of a goat he is, or if they're starting to get tired of that white meat baby face that Cody is. And I don't think tonight helped with if that's the feeling. John wrestled a very different match than ever. Very going out, taking breaks, kind of figuring out ways of doing things, being slow, not putting a big spectacle on. Travis Scott coming out is I messaged Dave during the main event, and I said, I love that we did not get The Rock, but Travis Scott is now becoming the Silver Surfer of the WWE. Of what he's coming to tell everyone that the world is going to be destroyed by the final boss, The Rock. As soon as I saw him come out, I was like, oh, he's coming because we know The Rock is somewhere involved in this. So I think I think he's perfect for that role. The ending, how do I feel about the ending? The ending was interesting. The Triple H has always said we can't judge this as a solo song. We have to judge it as a full album. And I agree 100%. There have been so many times where people have been like, this is the worst thing, they've ruined wrestling. And then next week, everyone's like, this is the best time I've ever seen it. So I don't want to fall in that trap of be like, this is not a great way of doing this, because I don't know what's happening tonight currently on Raw, and I don't know what's going to happen at Backlash and throughout the year because Sean's going to work the full year. The moment where John and Cody had the pull apart with the belt, and Cody pulled the belt away, and John did the Ric Flair on his knees, don't hit me, come on, please don't hit me. And the way Cody sold it of, do I want to? And the minute he made the decision not to, and he put his hands down, and John wound up and kicked him between the legs, I honestly think that hurt Cody more than anything he's ever done. Because there is a point where you can be a babyface. You can be someone who does the most upstanding thing, and I'm the, not to this degree, but the Hogan of eat your vitamins and say your prayers, brother. There's a point though where you just can't, you can do that, but you can't be stupid about it. And I feel like that's the moment where Cody's character became stupid. Because we all saw it. And if you didn't, you're not a wrestling fan and you just don't know how this works. You knew that John was going to do something like kick him in the nuts or do something when Cody dropped his hands. And the look on Cody's face of just, the defeatist look on his face hurt him so much. Now, if we are now going to get a heel version of Cody Rhodes or an anti-hero version of Cody Rhodes, then I'm okay with it, because I've seen Cody do heel stuff in New Japan, in ROH, and in not AEW, more ROH and New Japan, and he's great. Like, he's Punk level heel, that good. And I think if that's the way they're going, where he's gonna come back and be like, I just can't be a good guy anymore, I need to be an edgy guy now. Great. I am more than happy to see that. I think that's the best version of Cody. But I think if they're doing this where he's just a defeated babyface, I think that's a fail. Because I think the audience really gave up on Cody at that point, because that was just a stupid move as a character of just, oh, I guess I'm going to get killed. Boom. Done. Travis Scott comes in, interferes, and John Cena captures his 17th, now record holder, world championship. And I'm so happy as a Cena fan. I have my Toronto John Cena hat up there. I've always been a John Cena fan. I have said he's the GOAT for years. For years. Anybody that puts around, even before, if you asked me this 10 years ago, I wouldn't say 10. You say 5 years ago, if who's the GOAT, who's on your Mount Rushmore, Cena's number one. Cena is number one. There's nobody in the WWE who has done more for that company than him. 150,000%, no debatable. Hogan's done great. Austin's done great. John's done more. John's done more Make-A-Wish. John sold more merch overall. John's done more. So having him beat Flair's record and being the 17-time world champion, I'm so excited for it. And I'm so excited to see what he does tonight and for the rest of the year. I think he's going to do great with the World Championship or the WWE Championship. I know he did the Pat McAfee show today and said, I'm just going to take wrestling away from everybody because you all don't deserve it. I'm interested to see what that means. We'll have to wait and see. Andre in chat said, yep. See how vicious a face Bret Hart got with a heel of Kevin Nash at Survivor Series 95 because he knew that's what it would take to win. Exactly. You need to be, if you're going to be a good guy, you need to at least have an edge of like, okay, I'll do anything to win. Because if you're just an idiot, then no one's going to care. No one's going to be a fan of you. You're just an idiot. So that's it. Night 1, night 2. What do we think? As I said at the beginning of the show, I think they had an uphill battle no matter what they did. Because last year's was such a good pay-per-view. I have seen, 30, 20, 27, 26, 27, 28 WrestleManias. I've seen worse. I've seen a lot worse. 15 is a good example. 27, I think, is a good example. 28 is a good example. This was not horrible. I think the main event left a bad taste in people's mouths. Not of John Cena winning, because the crowd was super excited to see John win, but I think just the idiotness of Cody Rhodes really floundered with people. The Dominic Mysterio win was great. Joe Hendry coming in was great. Rhea Ripley and them destroyed the opening. Seth, Reigns, and Punk were incredible. Even Jacob and LA Knight did a great match. So there was definitely some highlights, but I think overall this is a mid WrestleMania. Again, I think this is something I kind of alluded to. If you guys checked out the Geeks & Co. last week, I was on the show and we were talking about comic portrayals of superheroes in movies and TV, and we were kind of going back and forth about which ones were better, which ones weren't. And I brought up the point, and I feel it kind of plays a factor in this too, where there are certain people who have played certain roles one time that have done a great job. I think Not Possible Cosplay was on there, and she brought up Beast in Kelsey Grammer playing Beast and how great he was in that. And I said, yes, 100%, he did a great job. However, he only played it in one movie, and it was like a background character, like a secondary character. He wasn't a main focus. And then there were characters like Hugh Jackman in Wolverine, who has had countless opportunities to play that role. The problem with that, though, is that means there's countless opportunities to mess up. And there's countless opportunities to be exposed. And I feel like this is the problem with two-night WrestleManias, is that even with all the commercials, even with all the sponsorships, even with all that stuff, you still have now a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 match card for 2 days. you're going to have some stinkers. Like, it's bound to happen. It's just trying to get that roller coaster effect as a fan of super excited, okay, I can come down. Super excited, I can come down. Super excited, come down. And not have a dive and not have a skyrocket. You kind of want to have that flow. And I don't think they've been able to do it yet. I think always one night has been better than the other, usually night 2. But I think they did okay on this one. I just wouldn't say it's going to be one that I'm going to watch again. I might watch Seth, Roman, and CM Punk, but I won't watch John and Cody again. And yeah, so overall, it was okay. I put out a story today asking what everyone else thought. I got a couple people messaging back saying 33% said it was great. 50% said I've seen better. And 18% said, what is WrestleMania? People. Anyways. So overall, it was not a bad pay-per-view. I'm happy I watched it. I was not disappointed. This is a reminder of why I'm unsure if I will go if WrestleMania comes to Toronto again, because of stuff like this, where like I know Thursday and Saturday for Metallica, I'm going to have an incredible weekend. With WrestleMania, I don't know if I want to do 2 nights and be like, well, that was okay. I don't know if I would say it was worth my money. So I don't know if I'd go to WrestleMania if they came here, but I'm glad I watched it from home. It's now on Netflix, so I don't have to do much but turn on Netflix and watch it. It was a good stream too, which I was worried it was going to have a couple hiccups here and there. But overall, it was a great pay-per-view. Thank you all for hanging in. I know we've run a little late. We went pretty deep into a couple of these matches. If you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot. Next week, episode 100 of Monday Night Nerd. I cannot believe I've done 100 of these. Wow. I don't have a life. I'm kidding. I love doing this. This is really fun. And I'm thankful that you guys on TikTok have been watching as well. I'm definitely going to be back next week to talk about it. Next week, 100th episode, we're going to talk all about my weekend with the Metallica boys. As I said, I've bought $5,000 tickets for Metallica. I've got the enhanced experience. There's a meet and greet. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. From the emails, I know I cannot film the Q&A. I can't take pictures during the Q&A. They have a professional photographer to take photos with them, so I won't have any footage or anything. If I'm able to, I will try to take some footage during the tour of the stage and the production and all that. I'm going to try and post a video on YouTube just talking about that, because I am going to talk about it here on the podcast, but I think I'm also going to take that section and input some footage from my weekend into that, so you guys can actually see what I got to see. So with that, I will leave you guys to your evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are going to watch Raw. I might go throw it on myself just to see where we are in the evening, because it is the night after WrestleMania, which is always a good Raw. But until next week, have yourselves a good week. I love you all. Thank you all for tuning in, and take care. Have a great week, and I'll see you all very, very soon. See you guys. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.